Most people picture pineapples growing only on sprawling tropical plantations. Endless sun, heavy rain, and perfect conditions somewhere far from home. A pineapple plant in a pot on a balcony or patio sounds unrealistic to them. But here's the reality most people never hear. Pineapples are actually one of the best fruit plants you can grow in containers. And when they're grown correctly in pots, they often produce fruit that's sweeter, firmer, and far more flavorful than anything from a grocery store. This has nothing to do with luck, climate, or expensive gear. The real secret is understanding how pineapples grow in nature, then using containers to control the exact conditions they care about most. When you take control of those factors, one pineapple plant can surprise you with a large, golden fruit that tastes completely different from store-bought pineapple. What follows are the 5 most important principles for growing pineapples successfully in containers. Even if you've never grown fruit before, choose the right pineapple plant. Variety matters more than you think. A great pineapple harvest doesn't start with soil mixes or fertilizer routines. It starts with choosing the right plant. This single decision often determines whether you'll wait years for a small, underwhelming fruit, or harvest a heavy, juicy pineapple that feels almost unreal coming from a pot. One of the biggest beginner mistakes is assuming all pineapples grow the same way. In reality, pineapple varieties differ dramatically in growth speed, plant size, fruit quality, and how well they tolerate restricted root space. Some types are bred for large commercial fields and perform poorly in containers. Others are naturally compact and thrive in pots. Many people use pineapple tops from grocery store fruit because they're easy to get. While this can work, it comes with drawbacks. Store-bought pineapples are often treated with growth inhibitors and bred for shipping durability, not flavor or container performance. These plants tend to grow slowly, develop weaker root systems, and often produce smaller fruit after a long wait. For reliable results, container growers should look for varieties that naturally adapt to pot life. Compact or semi-dwarf types such as smooth cayenne, queen varieties, and edible ornamental pineapples are excellent choices. These plants stay manageable, build strong central stems, and direct more energy into fruit production rather than excessive leaf growth. Healthy pineapple plants have clear visual indicators. Leaves should be thick, firm, and deep green, stiff rather than limp. The base of the plant must feel solid, never soft or mushy, and the central crown should be tight and upright. Yellowing leaves, browning, or softness at the core signal stress or early rot, which usually worsens after planting. If you're starting from a pineapple top, preparation makes all the difference. Every bit of fruit flesh must be removed from the base, since leftover sugars attract bacteria and fungi. After cleaning, the base should dry for several days in a warm, well-ventilated area. This drying step allows the cut tissue to seal, greatly reducing the risk of rot once planted. After potting, patience becomes essential. Pineapples grow slowly at first, dedicating most of their energy to building a stable root system. Above-ground growth may seem minimal for weeks or even months, but that underground development is what determines final fruit size. Overwatering or overfeeding during this stage does far more harm than good. A strong start leads to a strong plant. Weak beginnings almost always lead to disappointing harvests. But when you choose a healthy, well-suited pineapple plant from the start, the odds of producing a large, sweet, satisfying fruit increase dramatically. Use a container that supports roots, not just big leaves. At first glance, pineapple plants look bold and oversized, with long, sword-like leaves that seem to demand a huge pot. This appearance often tricks gardeners into choosing containers that are far larger than necessary. In reality, pineapple roots are relatively shallow, compact, and sensitive, and the wrong container can quietly undermine the entire growing process. Size matters, but balance matters even more. A pot that's too small restricts root growth and limits nutrient uptake, stressing the plant. A pot that's too large holds excess moisture for too long, creating ideal conditions for root rot. Pineapples thrive when their roots are supported properly, not squeezed tight and not sitting in soggy soil. For most container-grown pineapples, a pot in the 5 to 7 gallon range is ideal. This size allows roots to spread comfortably while still letting the soil dry out between waterings. Drainage is absolutely critical. Multiple drainage holes are non-negotiable. Pineapple roots cannot tolerate standing water even briefly. Container material also plays a much bigger role than many gardeners realize. Plastic pots retain warmth and moisture, which makes them excellent for cooler climates or indoor growing. Terracotta pots are porous, allowing moisture to evaporate through the sides, improving airflow but requiring more frequent watering, often beneficial in humid conditions. Fabric grow bags are especially effective because they prevent roots from circling and promote air pruning, leading to denser, healthier root systems. Here's a counterintuitive truth that surprises many growers. Pineapples often prefer being slightly root-bound. A mildly restricted root system can actually encourage flowering and result in a larger, heavier fruit. This gentle limitation signals the plant to shift energy away from leaf growth and toward reproduction, meaning fruit. The goal isn't unlimited space. The goal is the right amount of space. Roots should be able to spread, breathe, and anchor the plant securely without being surrounded by waterlogged soil. When the container is sized correctly, the pineapple grows steadily and directs its energy where it matters most, into fruit development. A well-chosen container doesn't just hold the plant, it actively influences how the pineapple grows when it flowers and how impressive the final harvest becomes. Perfect the soil mix. This is where most pineapples go wrong. If container-grown pineapples have a weak point, this is it. Soil is the silent destroyer, the factor that looks harmless at first but slowly damages the plant from below. More pineapple plants fail because of poor soil choices than from pests, disease, or neglect combined. Pineapples evolved in tropical environments with loose, airy, fibrous soil. Rain may be heavy, but water drains quickly. Roots get wet, then dry, surrounded by oxygen. Dense, compact potting mixes destroy this natural balance. Water lingers too long, oxygen disappears, and roots begin to suffocate. Rot follows, often unseen, until the plant suddenly declines. The ideal soil mix must accomplish three things at once: drain rapidly, allow airflow, and still provide nutrition. This balance separates weak plants from strong, fruit-producing ones. A reliable container mix includes a high-quality potting mix as a base, never used alone. Coarse sand or perlite to dramatically improve drainage. Pine bark fines or orchid bark to maintain airflow and prevent compaction. A small amount of compost for gentle, slow-release nutrition. When mixed properly, the soil should feel loose and springy. It should fall apart easily in your hand, never smear or clump like mud. After watering, excess water should flow out of the drainage holes almost immediately. Slow drainage or surface pooling means the mix is too dense and needs more aeration. Oxygen is just as critical as moisture for pineapple roots. Without airflow, roots cannot absorb nutrients effectively no matter how much fertilizer you add. Healthy soil keeps roots white, firm, and active, allowing the plant to grow steadily and prepare for fruiting. Soil acidity also matters. Pineapples prefer slightly acidic soil, ideally between pH 5.5 and 6.5. In this range, nutrients like potassium, magnesium, and phosphorus remain readily available, directly influencing fruit size, sweetness, and overall plant strength. Growing in containers makes maintaining this range much easier, giving you a major advantage. Strong soil builds strong roots. Strong roots are what support a large, heavy pineapple. Everything above the surface depends on what happens below. Water and feed. Like a pineapple, not like a typical houseplant. One of the biggest mistakes new growers make is treating pineapples like ordinary potted plants. Pineapples are not houseplants. They are specialized tropical survivors with a completely different relationship to water and nutrients. Their thick, fleshy leaves store moisture, making pineapples naturally drought-tolerant. This adaptation allows them to survive dry periods in nature, but it also makes them extremely sensitive to overwatering in containers. Constant moisture around the roots quickly suffocates them, even if the plant appears healthy at first. Instead of following a fixed watering schedule, successful growers observe the soil and the plant itself. The correct approach is simple but precise. Allow the top few inches of soil to dry out before watering again. When you water, do it slowly and deeply until excess moisture drains freely from the bottom of the pot. This flushes salts and reoxygenates the root zone. Never let the container sit in standing water. Even a few hours of saturation can stress roots and stall growth. Repeated exposure eventually leads to root rot, a problem that's difficult to reverse once established. Feeding pineapples requires a different mindset as well. Unlike most plants, pineapples can absorb nutrients directly through their leaves. In nature, nutrients collect in the central leaf cup during rainfall, feeding the plant from above. You can mimic this with occasional foliar feeding. Using a diluted liquid fertilizer, lightly mist the leaves and allow a small amount to collect in the central cup. This method delivers nutrients efficiently and supports stronger growth without overwhelming the roots. Foliar feeding is especially effective during warm months when the plant is actively growing. Choose a balanced fertilizer with slightly higher potassium. Potassium plays a key role in fruit development, influencing size, sweetness, firmness, and overall quality. It also strengthens the plant and improves resistance to stress and disease. Feed lightly but consistently during active growth. Overfeeding pushes leaf growth at the expense of flowering and can delay fruiting. Water stress, whether from too much or too little, is one of the main reasons pineapples fail to flower. Consistent, balanced moisture tells the plant conditions are stable and safe for reproduction. When water and nutrients are managed correctly, the plant shifts its focus from survival to fruit production. Balanced watering doesn't just keep a pineapple alive. It tells the plant when it's time to produce fruit. Trigger flowering and protect the fruit. When everything shifts. A pineapple plant never rushes into fruiting. It grows methodically, layer by layer, storing energy long before flowering begins. In containers, this preparation phase often lasts 12 to 18 months, and that's completely normal. During this time, the plant is quietly strengthening its leaves and central stem. Only once it reaches maturity does it respond to signals that it's time to reproduce. A mature pineapple plant has clear signs. Leaves are long, stiff, and deep green, forming a strong rosette. The base feels firm, not soft or spongy, and the central stem stands thick and upright. If the plant still looks thin or weak, forcing flowering too early usually results in a small fruit, or none at all. Strength must come first. Once maturity is reached, flowering can be gently encouraged using a traditional natural technique based on ethylene gas, a plant hormone released by ripe fruit. Apples are especially effective. Place the pineapple plant inside a large, clear plastic bag with 1 or 2 ripe apples. Seal the bag loosely so air can circulate, and keep it in a warm, bright location out of harsh direct sun. Over several days, the apples release ethylene gas, signaling to the pineapple that conditions are right for reproduction. After 3 to 5 days, remove the bag and return the plant to its normal spot. If the plant is ready, the response is unmistakable. Within a few weeks, a tight formation appears at the center of the rosette, followed by the emergence of a vivid central flower. This marks the turning point, the moment the plant redirects all its energy toward producing a single fruit. From this stage onward, stability is everything. The plant is now investing months of stored energy into one pineapple, and sudden stress can interrupt that process. Protect it from cold snaps, heat extremes, and drastic moisture changes. Even brief frost exposure can damage the developing fruit, while excessive heat can reduce sugar formation. Watering should remain consistent and controlled. The soil must not dry out completely, but it should never stay soggy. Continue light feeding if you've been doing so, but avoid heavy fertilization. At this stage, balance matters more than speed. As weeks pass, the transformation becomes captivating. The flower thickens, individual fruit segments fuse together, and the familiar pineapple shape emerges. The aroma strengthens gradually, first subtle, then unmistakably tropical. Color shifts from green to golden yellow, starting at the base and moving upward as sugars concentrate. Harvest timing is critical. Pineapples do not ripen after picking. When the fruit turns golden, releases a rich fragrance, and yields slightly to gentle pressure, it's ready. This is peak flavor, the moment when sweetness, acidity, and aroma align perfectly. Container-grown pineapples require patience, but the reward is extraordinary. The flavor is deeper, sweeter, and more complex than store-bought fruit harvested too early. One bite makes the entire process worthwhile. Pineapples teach an important lesson in gardening. They don't respond to force or shortcuts. They reward observation, balance, and respect for their natural rhythm. Those who listen instead of rushing are always the ones who harvest the best fruit.